So, a warm welcome to all of you to this first parallel session of the European Resource Forum, which is entitled Resource Efficient and Circular Design, from niche to mainstream. So it's all about design now. My name is Carsten Weyer and I'll be your moderator today. And why this? Why me? I'm a consultant and I've coordinated over the last 12 years several international cooperation projects led by the Federal Environment Agency in the field of resource efficiency, sustainable production, and over the last 4 years in the field of eco-design. So this Interreg project, so international cooperation, is called Eco-Design Circle and has also prepared and facilitated this session. We'll come back to that later. So that's me, but who are you? From the registration process, we know that more than 300 participants from more than 30 countries have chosen this session. Perhaps not all of you are here, but many, as I can see in the clock, which is showing the participants. And you're almost equally distributed across the private business sector, the public sector and the scientific sector, and then there are also slightly less participants from NGOs and consultants or any other background. So, but how much do you know about resource efficient and circular design? This is the resource efficiency forum here. And to get a first idea, we have prepared for you a small quiz question, something like Design Millionaire, yes. And for this, we are using the software for Pulse, which is built into this Meet You platform. You have 30 seconds now to choose the right answer to this following question. From whom is the following quote? There are professions more harmful than industrial design, but only a few. So pick the right answer, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I'm using in the meantime, the time to provide you with 2 pieces of information. Yeah, for all technical questions, please refer to the technical information for participants that you should have received. And please also make, second piece of information, make use of the participant question panel that you have. Submit question, yeah, for providing feedback or leave comments. We will collect all your questions and discuss them with the speakers in the last 15 minutes of this session. So, but now coming back to the results of the poll, and most of you have voted for William MacDonald. That's the wrong question. Sorry. So that's very important that we're having the session because the quote is by Victor Papanek. Victor Papanek is a strong and early advocate of the socially and ecological responsible design, and has praying eco-design, circular design sort of for already more than 50 years. So thank you very much for this first warm up here. Let's go back now to the slides. What we take back from, I think we can close now the panel, the poll, yeah. So what we wanted to send out with this quiz question is that if design can be so harmful, can it be, on the contrary, also equally powerful in working towards resource efficiency and circularity? We will deal with that question, and we have 4 speakers today from 4 different countries with 4 different backgrounds, and all of them will hopefully together jointly making use of the integrated approach that was already praised several times today, will hopefully shed some light on the power of design. Our first expert is Harri Mura from Estonia. Harri specializes in environmental policy and management tools related to sustainable consumption and production. This includes eco-design here. And for almost 20 years, he has been leading the environmental management program of the Tallinn Center of the Stockholm Environment Institute. So that was a lot of cities now, but Harri will set the scene now here for this session by providing us with an introduction to the political background for resource efficient and circular design. Harri, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Carsten. Yes, I'll try to give you a very short introduction to the topic of resource efficient and circular design from more policy background, or let's say policy development point of view, because the policy in a way is important frame which we have to take into account, and which I would say is one of the major enabling factors also, which in a way helps us in this quite complex pathway towards to the circular economy. Of course, there are different other enabling factors which have been discussed also today in the morning, and we all have recognized that it's very important to have an increasing demand for circular products. We also have recognized that the technology development has really allowed us to go for more circular product designs, approaches, as well as business models. But often we don't recognize that it also requires a certain specific knowledge and in a way a specific skill set when it comes to designers and product developers. And often we understand or we see that we designers are not really ready for developing more circular, or let's say resource efficient products and services. And this is important in a way, but at the same time it's also very important that we in a way understand the development of the policy. It's important to understand what are the important elements from the circular design point of view, and in a way the policy provides us as a designers and product developers an important frame. And that's why I very briefly would like to introduce or explain what are the important elements when it comes to the policy which should support the transition towards to the circular design and circular economy. This has been touched already earlier, but one is clear. It's the same way as we design our products in the circular framework, basically looking on the whole life cycle of products. So basically, what I have to say is what is our recommendation, or my recommendation always when I teach designers, I say that you should really design a life cycle rather focusing on specific design questions on your product. So the life cycle approach is the key issue, and that's why the circular or let's say the policy and legal framework which supports the circular design, circular policy should also in a way focus on those different life cycle steps. So we really need to have a clean and clear material flows which are basis for our design decisions. We also need resource efficient and energy efficient production frameworks. What is the most important thing, and where there is a biggest gap at the moment when it comes to circular policy, is that we really need policies which support long use of products, basically policies which support the use and consumption side. So we need policies on reuse, on recycling, but also remanufacturing. The other and often the only focus which has been earlier, basically the end of life phase, where there is the most of the policy and legal framework at the moment. We should really take into account that sustainable waste management is not just recycling, but we also need high quality of recycling to really allow the clean and clear materials to enter to the product cycle. So, and least but not last, of course, we also need a well-functioning EU market for secondary raw materials, and this also has to be supported by relevant legal and political measures. So at the moment, of course, looking back to the European Union circular design, or let's say resource efficient policy, we see that circular economy as a concept came in only less than 10 years ago when the 7th European Environmental Action Plan was introduced. And I have to admit that only recently the real life cycle approach has been introduced into the policy design and development of the legal framework. And at the moment, as I said already earlier, the focus has been mainly on end of life, meaning that we have a relatively we have a relatively strict mandatory set of legal acts and regulations on waste management, but we often see that this is not enough. So we also see that in the frame of or in the process of circular design, we face often problems by having such a very strict and sometimes very limiting set of waste management regulation. We know all about the situation when if you would like to do something on circular design by developing new products from waste, the strict regulatory framework on waste management could be really a barrier for good ideas and design approaches. And then on the other side, what is really lacking is that there is not enough legal pressure on consumption side. So at the moment we have here only or majorly voluntary approaches such as public procurement and eco-label legislation, but clearly this is the biggest gap in the framework of more circular policies. So if we go on and look on what is how the future will look like, then we see that that there is a big hope on Green Deal initiative, and of course only now first time we see that the new circular economy action plan will take into account a really systematic approach looking on all of those previous gaps and barriers, and I really hope that the new development on circular policy will really take into account those different gaps, especially when it comes to the development of new sustainable product legislation, which I hope really will deal with those gaps related to circular design as such. At the moment, the focus has been mainly on design of energy-related products, but the future will definitely bring in also other products. And something which is very important is that the gap related to the consumption and use of products, this is something which really needs urgent focus, because at the moment all these possibilities that we as designers try to bring up on the market, especially related to durability of products, reusability, repairability, there is not enough really legal support which really allows us to do this type of design. So finally, just to conclude, so in addition, or let's say if we look on circular design point of view, of course, in addition to design thinking, which should, in the case of circular design, rely on life cycle thinking and business thinking, we also have to take into account the overall system. So the circular design is not really the same as the classical product-oriented design approach. We have to really understand the overall system around. So this really gives us the possibility to design really circular products and really come up with new innovative circular business models. And I have to stress that part of the system thinking is also understanding the legal system. So if you, as a designer, you really have to understand the development of the political and legal system, but also you have to understand what are the supportive elements, but also the gaps and barriers in the system, so that you can really cope and take them into account when designing circular products. This is shortly all from my side.
Super, thank you very much, Harry. That was a very good introduction into what we are dealing with, and also linking to the opening session, which all stressed very much that the integration is very important and the systematic approach is very important. We'll come back to the latter one also at the end of our presentation, and especially June will address that once more. But I would like to stress also once more that you've stressed that the effective policies are needed to drive a circular economy, and that there are still a number of gaps there that can be closed already, although the Circular Economy Action Plan or some action plans of the Green Deal are doing already a good job. And you show that it's essential to understand the political and legal environment, the directives and others for the single steps in the project life cycle. So that's the important keyword here, because this is what we need to take into account when doing resource efficient and circular design. This leads me now to our next two experts. They will have a joint presentation, and they're both from our Interact project Eco-Design Circle. From Finland, Aino Vepselainen, that's always a challenge for me, has joined us today. She's a design expert and representing the Design Forum Finland, not only today in the session, but also in the Eco-Design Circle project, in which the Design Forum Finland has a particular focus on the development and piloting of the Eco-Design Sprint, a business development tool piloted in several enterprises around the Baltic Sea. And from Berlin, and therefore almost at home today in our virtual meeting room Charlottenburg here, where we are, Ronja Scholz is joining us today. Ronja is a service designer who is dealing already for many years with the ecological impact of design, both working for companies as well as in research. Currently, she's representing the Technical University Berlin in the Eco-Design Circle project, and there she's working mainly on the Eco-Design Learning Factory, a format for creating new service ideas for circular economy. Before Aino and Ronja share with you their thoughts on the importance of design for the circular transition, let me show you a brief video on the Eco-Design Circle project, which, and I take the opportunity to share that with you, which was shortlisted this year by the European Commission among the top 5 projects in the category Sustainable Growth for the Regio Stars Awards. After this video, Aino and Ronja take over. Now the video. Aino, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Karsten. With these delicious and circular recipes, we would also like to welcome you all here. It's a privilege to be here talking about this very important theme for all of you, and it's great to have such a big audience today. Our topic is the importance of design for the circular transition, and we speak about both product and service design. Yeah, as Karsten introduced me already, my name is Aino Vepseläinen and I work as a project manager in Design Forum Finland. Design Forum Finland is an organization that supports the growth of Finnish companies and organizations and their competitiveness by promoting the use of design. The reason I'm here is that Design Forum Finland is one of the partners in Eco-Design Circle project, as actually Karsten already told. And we have been together with our project partners creating the methods combining circular economy and design, especially to help the circular transition. And as mentioned, you will hear more about these topics and the methods later in this presentation. But the big idea behind the Eco-Design Circle is the collaboration. And therefore, we are here together with Ronja Scholz. Please, Ronja. And I have to say that your name is as difficult for me to pronounce as mine for Karsten. Go ahead, Ronja.
Thank you, Aino. Yeah, welcome from Berlin. I'm from the TU Berlin and I'm doing here research and method development for helping businesses to innovate in a circular way through using design methods for product design and also service design. And as Aino said, it's all about collaboration, not only in our project, but mostly also in circular design. And that's what we're going to show you today. So we are here in the topic of resource efficiency, but if we talk about circular design, we also should look into the topics of sufficiency and consistency, because as Harry mentioned earlier, it's all about creating new business models, and all those three are very important in order to really create new ways of doing business and economy. And design can therefore help you a lot in producing those. And I'm going to quickly show you how. So in the linear economy, we're extracting resources, we're building products, and then we use them for a short term and we throw them away. But while doing that, we do not only throw away the value of the resources, but while we're producing those products, every single drop of water, every kilowatt of energy that goes into, and also every working hour adds to the value. And then we don't only throw away those resources, we also throw away all these values. And in the circular economy, the idea is to keep every single product, every component, and every material in its highest potential of the value. So that means that products are used as long as possible, they are maintained and they are repaired, and only if they really destroyed, they will be remanufactured and eventually might be recycled. And therefore, they need to be designed differently, because all those all those procedures need different handling. And the EU already in 2006 or 9 calculated that 80% of a product's footprint are determined during the design phase. And design can really make a difference here. But it's not only about like how we maintain and treat the product, but it's also about like what our values and our behavior is behind. And that's like the core of design, I would say. And Aino can show us an example of how the design can really make a difference here.
Yeah, as Ronja said, we wanted to bring some examples of the power of design of both in product and service development. And my example is a product that comes from Finland, surprisingly. What it actually means in practice that significant part of product's footprint is determined in the design phase. My example of Woodio is an eco-design and material technology company that manufactures wash basins and bathtubs of world's first waterproof solid wood composite with a minimal carbon footprint. The material is mainly made of wood chips. As some of you might know, the ceramic industry is among the most polluting industries, and if comparing this example to the traditional ceramic wash basins, it's quite easy to see the benefits of Woodio products. In addition to small carbon footprint, the material is light, durable, and serves as CO2 storage. And when for some reason the product comes to the end of the life cycle, it doesn't end up as a landfill as the ceramic ones, but can be used as energy. Design is needed for new solutions, but it needs other fields of expertise too, as material research and circular economy expertise. But there's one thing I would like to mention regarding design. If a new, better, resource-efficient and circular product aims to be mainstream, it also has to be attractive, appealing, and timeless. But it also has to bring value to the customer. And at least in my opinion, that cannot be done without good design. So I think Woodio is a great example of that too. And I think that it's a good example of a product and material innovation where very traditional product has become completely different and new. So I would describe it a change maker, and I would like to see many of these more. Please, Ronja.
Thank you. And really making a change is probably the core of what we're aiming at the moment, because often we talk only about reducing our negative impact, but in a good design and also according to the circular economy principles, we do not only aim to do less harm, but we really do aim to do more good. And therefore, service design can be tremendously leveraged, because in service design, we really create user interactions. That means we can provide customers or consumers with information of how to maintain a product, how to use it in a more resource efficient way, where to bring it if ever it's broken, and so on and so on. And we can really create these multi-dimensional interactions. And service design is not only key in providing those information, but really in making those circles work. And I have brought you an example which I find quite fun, because if you talk to Germans about their car, you know that we are quite keen on it. And 10 years ago, no one would have believed you if I told you that Germans would share their cars with random strangers. There is this app that started some years ago here, and you can use this app to share your car with anyone, and they rent it through the app. And here, service design is really key, because it has to create the trust and also display the rewards that you get in order to share your car. And it does it. And yeah, that's an example of how service design also changes our behaviors, our trust, our beliefs. And of course, private car sharing is only one way to help reducing the cars on the street and so on and so on. But it helps us thinking differently about how we use our products, our streets, and our cities. And as it all is about mainly changing also our mindsets, we thought we might have a fun exercise with you very quickly. So I don't know where you all are sitting, but I would love to do that with you together. Any object that is right in front of you, consider it for a little moment, and then think about either how you could choose one material amongst all the materials that might be in this product, and then make something different from it, or whether you could in some way make a different use of that product by thinking whether someone can use this in a different time, in a different place, for a different purpose, and so that you could share it in some way. And we would love to see your answers in the chat. Please type the object that you're having there, and then type also your idea of how to change it. And I brought you one example that I find really inspiring from Germany, and that's like an app because it's a service, and it's the app of our public library, and you can have all magazines, all books, audiobooks, even music through that app. And that's amazing, because if you remember how many piles of magazines and newspapers you have sometimes in your living room, I think this is very cool, because it reduces it a lot, and it's delivered directly to my screen. And yeah, that's an amazing solution for service design. How about you, Aino?
Well, I have to admit I had a chance to be prepared, but I have this pot coaster made of newspaper. So I again had the product example. Okay, let's continue. As I mentioned in the beginning, and Karsten also, that both Bronja and me and our organizations are part of the Eco Design Circle project, but we are not the only ones. We are a group of design organizations in the Baltic Sea region working together in the project that's funded by the EU's Interreg Baltic Sea region program. The project is all about the network, sharing knowledge, best practices and policies, but I would say most importantly, connecting expertise and people. And how that looks in practice. To solve the challenges and to create circular economy and new solutions, we use co-creation and co-design methods. And working together is the key. And now at this stage, I have to say that luckily that can be also done online, and we have learned a lot about that too, as probably you all. The formats we have created together in the project are addressed to different needs. These were already mentioned in the beginning. Eco Design Learning Factory is an interactive introduction to circular economy and circular design, and it's targeted for anyone interested in circular design. Eco Design Audit is an assessment tool for companies to find the opportunities that circular economy and design can offer. And then the third one is Eco Design Sprint, which is a workshop and tool for business development where the aim is to co-create products and services together with companies. With the next video about Eco Design Sprint, you will hopefully get an idea of the method, and also hopefully you get inspired of Eco Design Sprint. Let's have a look at that.
How to create circular business. Looking for new business opportunities? Future customer needs? Want to learn wiser use of resources? Contribute to a sustainable future? Eco Design Sprint is a unique tool for business development. It is a combination of innovation and practical training through circular economy thinking and design methods. How it works. Eco Design Sprint is a joint project between a client company, design agency, and circular economy coach. It consists of 3 phases or workshops named Understand, Ideate, and Deliver. The Understand phase creates shared understanding of the principles and business opportunities of the circular economy. It also maps the current status of the client company. The circular economy coach guides the sprint team forward with lectures and co-creation methods. At the Ideate phase, the design agency leads the team towards a common goal, 2 viable concepts for the client company. The Circular Economy Coach ensures that ideas follow the company's and their customers' needs and circular economy principles. The last phase, Deliver, follows after a short interval. During the interval, the design agency develops the concepts further. The goal for the third phase is to identify the next steps the company should take after the sprint for implementing concepts. Benefits. Your mindset towards the circular economy will change. You'll understand that circular solutions will create competitive advantage in the future. But it's not just about the mindset. As a company, you gain concrete deliverables, new product or service concepts, tools for circular business development, boost for the existing strategy and operations, concrete action points and tailored support and mentoring. Welcome to Eco Design Sprint.
Go ahead, Ronja.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you now got a little feeling of how our formats work and what we're doing. And I also want to thank you, all our project partners that you can see here, because as we said, it's a shared and common effort. And this is amazing to work in this project because we can also transfer knowledge about across borders. We learn best practice from not only our country, but all over the Baltic Sea, and therefore can also bring in a lot more creative ideas to the various projects. And yeah, to finish, I was thinking about what is circular design really? And when we talk about resources, we often talk about the 4 R's, which are reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle. But if you want to start to really think circular, it should start with a C. And it's all not only about the circular and creative mindset, but it's connecting the different disciplines and to do collaborative work and create solutions where everyone can contribute at their best. And also then, of course, creating communities that help each other. So if you want to start your next project, start with a C. And I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the two of you. That was very, very inspiring indeed, and I hope the technical transmission of the videos worked out well in all of your countries. Here in Berlin, it was fine. So perhaps I would like to highlight from what you've showed us in the practical examples that it's important that with circular design we aim to do more good instead of aiming merely at doing less bad. Yeah, and this is on one side a very strong business perspective where customer needs are reflected, new products and services are developed and not existing ones modified and production optimized, but new products and services. That means new markets, and thus new business opportunities are created, which help us to make a change towards resource efficiency, circularity, and climate change. And I think the examples also again showed the close interlinkage. Is design then, as Aino said, design is key, and we heard just 2 designers, of course. Is design perhaps then the even most important tool for working towards circularity and resource efficiency? Our 4th speaker definitely has a clear opinion on that, I guess. June Prummel is joining us from the Netherlands. He works as an international strategic advisor for the Dutch Rijkswaterstaat, and June helps and guides organizations to set their ambitions, policies and operations, aiming at a more circular organization. In this context, he has developed special expertise, in particular in the field of circular procurement, and is member of the Green Public Procurement Advisory Group of the European Commission. One message that I heard from him, which I think is very important in our context here, that is that circularity connects resource efficiency and sustainability to economic benefits. Today, he is not only putting the systemic approach in the focus, but also tomatoes. Is that right, Joan? The floor is yours.
Thank you. And I guess you can see my my slides. Yeah, I'll talk about tomatoes in a minute. I was invited to speak a bit about circular economy and design. And as you said, I have my expertise embodied in procurement, but not only in procurement, but more in the systematic changes that circular economy requires. My role for the Netherlands is to share and learn, share our practices and our insights with the rest of the world, but also get back what others come up with, because we might be one of the front runners, but we're definitely not the most far-fetched, the most state-of-the-art country on circular economy. There are a lot more experiments and interesting pilots going on. The tomato wisdom, which you promised, I'll share it with you, and I'll come back to it later. Remember this in the rest of my story. Knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. At the end of my speech, I hope you understand why this is important. Circular economy as a systemic approach. This is an old picture. I think nowadays we would love to remove the word recycling and put something back like return or something. But basically the system is still, we have resources, we have design and production to make something out of it. We have the use phase where we procure and use and reuse products, and we have a collection and return or recycling system to get all the resources back into production again. And nowadays we still have a bit of waste. Probably always have some waste, but one of the aims is to have less and less waste, work towards a zero waste system. So the aim of design in this system would be to influence the chain, influence the whole system, influence the use phase by creating the proper product, which is repairable, which is designed for disassembly, connected with the right business models so it can be used as long as possible, but also influence collection and recycling industries by using the right materials so it will be recycled end of life. And also influencing the sourcing part of this diagram, because it's about choosing your materials and the amount of materials in the first place when you design, and obviously influencing their own position, because design is connected to production in circular economy, and you have to design a product that can be produced without any waste and without any other harm to the environment. So that's a challenge for circular design, but in my opinion, this goes for every domain of the system. Every domain has their own interest in influencing the rest of the chain, the rest of the system, to get towards circularity. And that means that we are working towards integrated shared ambitions from design, from reuse, from recycle, from sourcing, from the 4 big domains in circular economy. What are the shared ambitions and how can we come to collaboration on that? So what we do, and this is what we learned in procurement, but what also works from any other perspective, also from the designer's perspective, if you take the initiative, if you have an ambition on circular economy, take the initiative, find your partners in the chain, the partner in the step before you and in the step after you and in the step after that step. So you have the 4 domains around the table and say, if this is the product we work on, how can we make this more circular than it is now? What is my role in it? What is your role in it? And what do we need from each other? So it's sharing ambitions, but also sharing possibilities and opportunities, because I can have a very high ambition on circularity, resource efficiency, zero waste product, zero emission product, but It will only happen if it's possible. And it will only happen if I can connect to the rest of the system, to the rest of the chain, to make this happen, because somebody needs to supply the materials, somebody needs to properly use the product, somebody needs to recycle at end of life the materials, bring them back into production. We all need to play our own part in this system. So I'd like to call this ambition-based collaboration, because it's interesting to design a product reducing the material, design for disassembly, extending product lifespan, the typical circular aspects of a product you can design into that, then create a business model where you can actually sell it or lease it or rent it or whatever, but you'll find a financial model where you have your revenues, your cost covers, make some profit, create ideas of value at end of life, make long-term business models. But still, this is the potential. It will only happen if you actually add the process of collaboration to it. It will only happen if you have a technical product that's fit for circular economy, where you can make your money, but also will be returned, repaired, reassembled, whatever end of use or even end of life. That's where you create circular impact. I was at an office, a company in the Netherlands a few years ago, beautiful circular designed Herman Miller furniture. It was cradle to cradle certified. And I asked the guy, what will you do with the chair if it breaks? And he said, well, throw it away, buy a new one. He was very proud about his sustainable furniture, but he didn't have the system in place to actually properly use and make use of the circular advantages of this chair. So you need this process in place, and part of that is maybe by using procurement, because you can put this in the contracts, but the most important in this process is collaborate. It's not only design a proper product, but also look at the rest of the chain, how you can actually make this happen, how you can collaborate in making this happen. I'll give you a small example. The phone on the left, you all know it. My grandfather had one like this. He used it for around 65 years. It was invented and created to last a lifetime. The design of this product is very robust, very simple, and it can be repaired if necessary, but actually never broke. On the right side, you see the iPhone. In 2007, the first iPhone appeared on the market, and now we have iPhone number 12. All the models in between are designed for use of like 2 years. From number 5, iPhone number 5 had screws in it. They were designed for repair, and nowadays we have remanufactured iPhones on the market. So the one is created and designed to last a lifetime. The other is created and designed to be repaired. So the question is, and this is the typical procurement question, which one is the most circular? But it's also a designer question, which one is designed the most circular? And I can already tell you there's no proper answer, because it depends. A product is not circular because it's designed in the right way or bought in the right way or can be recycled in the right way. It's only circular if it happens in the right way. A product is circular when we arrange it to be circular, when we actually collaborate and change our behavior in buying it the right way, using it the right way, recycling it the right way, and that's all because we designed it in the right way in the first place. So yes, design is very important, but it's as important as the other domains, and collaboration is key. So back to the tomato wisdom. This is what I showed you. Knowledge is knowing tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. The connection is appreciate the system, but play your own part in it. Understand that you're in a huge system and play your own part. So design, well, it's not the holy grail. It's important, but as important as the rest. A product is not circular by design. A product is circular by our own behavior, by what we do with it. I think I just finished within the 9 minutes. So thank you for your attention, and remember, behavior enables circular economy.
Super, thank you very much, June, for this very vivid introduction of the systemic approach based or sort of framed by tomatoes. And the systemic approach describes design here as one element of it, but a very important one, which which should aim to influence the overall chain and the whole life cycle that should be taken into account. Thank you very much for this. There were already questions submitted, but I would like to ask all audience already to make use of that. One question, June, I want to direct directly to you that was submitted. You've stressed that the ambition-based collaboration is so very important across the chain and the life cycle. What means do you see to facilitate the cooperation of the stakeholders here? From mining, for example, where they dig out the resources, then to the design of the product, the procurement, and after all, then the reuse or the recycling. June.
Yeah, the means to collaborate.
Well, I mean, it's sort of, if I understand the question correctly, I mean, we have global value chains today, global supply chains, and of course the people, what was mentioned in the opening session as well, which dig out the cobalt in Congo, are not in touch with the people who are putting together the iPhone in China or something like that, or designing it in California. So there are very broad contexts. And are there any means, if we are talking about ambition-based collaboration, so that these stakeholders are closer in touch and know what the others are doing in order to have a joint approach then?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah, well, there probably no specific means in how to do that, other than you're quite right that a lot of products have a global supply chain, and it's difficult to get to every partner in that chain. But in the same time, there are a lot of partners and participants in that chain that you can connect to. There's somebody you bought your products from or your resources from. There's somebody you're selling it to. There's somebody who you work with to make this product, to design it, to produce it. And these are the first steps in the chain that you can make and you can collaborate with. And what we know from procurement, for instance, is that if we invite a supplier and a waste manager, then we have 2 out of 3 domains around the table, and we start there talking about what can we do, and if it's global, if it's difficult, then maybe we can connect. What we're doing for ICT right now is we're setting up an international framework for collaboration on how to influence and work together with the supply chain around ICT hardware, because we want to have more circular ICT hardware, smartphones, laptops, computers, and we can only make that happen if we are connected worldwide with not only users and procurers, but also with the suppliers and the producers of this hardware. So we'll just set up a big global network, one step at a time, but in the end, you have to grow and think big to make big changes. But you can also start with the people around you, the functions around you, and set your first steps, because a big change also starts with a small first step.
Okay, thank you very much, June. That was sort of from the global perspective. Start with the first small step. That gives me the keyword for a question here from Stephanie Marquardt, which is directed to Aino and maybe also Ronja for the Learning Factory. How many companies, startups already used the opportunity for an eco-design sprint, and how was the feedback? So this is an example for a small first step. Aino, can you answer that question?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, so we have piloted it in, I would say 6-7 times. Hopefully future we have more eco-design sprint workshops, but so far the feedback has been very good. And now in this stage we have developed it for developing services. So previously in the original project, it was for product design mainly. But We are still in the development phase, so in the future I have more details on that.
Could you give us perhaps one or two examples? What kind of products or services have you developed so far with the Eco Design Sprint?
Oh, there has been a food industry product, clothing company, instruction company. Yeah, now I'm sort of not remembering all of them, but from different various fields. These were from Finland.
Okay, thank you. So that was one of the first steps that June also referred to. Now there's another question here from Sonja Limberger, and I would like to address that to you, Harry. Do you see specific product groups that should be more in the focus or priority for circular design or eco design?
Well, yes, I think those product groups which in a way have the biggest potential in really designing it in a circular manner, or the other thing is also which really have a biggest impact. And we know that the new circular economy action plan has certain specific areas of interest, or let's say the product groups starting from electronics, but also batteries, packaging, textiles, food and plastics, and construction materials are covered. But I see really that I would say the food and plastics is something where there is definitely an urgent need to go into the details, and where there is a need for more circular products, because these are the products which are more related to final consumers. I think this also really has a great opportunity to influence our as consumer, the white generation consumer as such behavior. So I think these issues which are related to the awareness of consumers and products as such are I think, important to touch.
Okay, thank you, Harry. And one last question to Ronja. Here's a question from Kevin Langhorst. How can we put more emphasis on resource effectiveness in the design phase? Is that something that you can answer? I think that is addressed to a designer.
I think, John, you already made this point of really looking into the system. And I think it's a little bit also in circular economy, we're talking about reverse logistics, and it might be a little bit about reversed impact also, or reversed design, because really thinking of what impact you want to make, look at not only the product or the service that you create, but really look at the entire circle you want to create, and look where the impact then is and where you can create that most important, the bigger impact, and also like talking of positive impact. Where is the question again? So yeah, I think really considering that already in the design phase, and also pointing out the benefits to whoever is in the partner network, whoever are the stakeholders, that might really help to use that moment in design, and how you can put more emphasis on it. Yeah, it's mostly like really promoting also the benefits on a long term.
So thank you very much, Ronja. We need to come to an end right now. Ronja, you already had with this very comprehensive statement your final message. June, do you want to share with the participants one more sentence? What is your take-home message?
Well, my take-home message would be appreciate that we're all part of a system, play your own role, reach out and collaborate to the organization next to you, and in the end to the whole supply chain to set steps towards circularity.
Thank you. Harry, from you, a last take-home message?
The message for designers, I think it's, as we heard, it's important to really have a right mindset, to have a right way of thinking, and of course skills. And then it leads to the cooperation, which is, I would say, as we understood, the most crucial part in this problematic.
From you?
Me?
Or Ronja, one of the two? So the designer's perspective?
As much as I appreciate design, it cannot solve problems alone. So there needs to be other expertise and research. And one more thing, I think designers also need to gain more knowledge on circular economy and have these skills, as Harry actually said.
Now we have completed the session. Thank you all very much for your attention. And please go back now to the plenary where the next session will start now. Thank you very much and bye-bye.